Hey, Niners faithful. What a wild week it's been in the Bay Area. There's drama at quarterback, key injuries on both sides of the ball, and a huge matchup coming up against the Atlanta Falcons that could really shape how the rest of this season unfolds. Let's get right into it because there's a lot to talk about. So, first things first, I was out at practice today, and yeah, Brock Purdy was there, but things didn't exactly look like what we're used to seeing. He was running with the third team, while Adrian Martinez took some second-team snaps, and Jones was getting the first-team reps. Now, that alone tells you a lot about how cautious the coaching staff is being with Purdy's injury. The guy's been dealing with a pretty nasty turf toe, and even though he's officially listed as a limited participant, you could just tell from watching that he's not quite himself yet. The zip on his throws wasn't there, the ball came out a bit loopy, and his lower body mechanics looked off. You can see he's trying to protect that toe, maybe subconsciously, but it's affecting the way he's driving the ball. Now, Kyle Shanahan was on the radio earlier this week and hinted that Jones will most likely start on Sunday night against Atlanta. Honestly, I think that's the smart move. We've already seen what happens when you rush Purdy back too soon. The last time he came back early, he struggled to plant, couldn't drive through his throws, and ended up re-aggravating the same injury. You just can't play around with turf toe. It's one of those injuries that lingers if you don't let it heal properly. And let's not forget, we saw this exact scenario earlier in the season before that Jacksonville game. Back then, the reports said the injury would take around 2 to 5 weeks to heal, but Purdy was back after missing just 2 games against the Saints and the Cardinals. When he returned, it was obvious he wasn't right. At practice before that Jaguars matchup, his passes were sailing high, his base was unstable, and you could tell something wasn't clicking. Sure enough, when the game came around, the same issues showed up: overthrows, poor accuracy, and 2 costly interceptions. The Niners turned the ball over 4 times that day, and those mistakes killed their momentum. What really stood out in that game was how hesitant Purdy was to move around. He didn't have confidence in that toe, didn't want to scramble or create plays on the run. He just stayed in the pocket, and that made it easier for the defense to pressure him. And look, when your offensive line is already struggling the way San Francisco's has been, that's a recipe for disaster. Without that mobility, without that ability to extend plays, the whole offense slows down. That's why I think it's smart to give him another week or 2 to recover. Let Jones take the reins against Atlanta. Jones might not have the same improvisational flair that Purdy brings, but when he's protected, he's shown he can be an elite pocket passer. The problem, of course, is that protection hasn't exactly been a strength. The offensive line has been a headache for years, and if they don't hold up this week, it could be another long night for the Niners offense. And speaking of long nights, this Falcons defense is no joke. They've completely changed who they are from last season. Atlanta now plays man coverage more than any other team in the league, and they blitz at the highest rate in football. That means they're going to bring pressure on nearly every third down and force the Niners receivers to win one-on-one battles. If San Francisco's wideouts can't separate, Jones is going to be under siege all night. Tampa Bay absolutely battered him last week. 22 total pressures, 11 hurries, 6 sacks. You can't survive that kind of Heat 2 games in a row. Atlanta's pass rush isn't just aggressive, it's creative. They mix coverages, disguise looks, and bring defenders from every angle. One snap, they'll line up like they're in cover 1, then they'll drop in a zone and send a linebacker through the A-gap. They keep quarterbacks guessing, and that's been a huge part of their success this year. The Niners' offensive line has to communicate perfectly to handle that. Now, on the other side of the ball, this Falcons offense has been rolling lately. Quarterback Michael Penix has settled in nicely. Bijan Robinson looks like one of the most explosive players in football, and Drake London is turning into a true number 1 receiver. Adding Kyle Pitts finally finding some rhythm, and suddenly you've got one of the more balanced attacks in the NFC. They can throw, they can run, and they can wear you down over 4 quarters. That's bad news for a 49ers defense that's still missing key stars like Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. Without those guys, this defense just doesn't have the same bite. It's also worth noting that the Niners' run defense has been leaking yards. They've been giving up chunk plays both on the ground and through the air, and Atlanta has the exact kind of offense that can exploit that. If San Francisco can't get pressure up front, they'll be in trouble. Because even if your corners are solid, if the quarterback has all day to throw, somebody's going to come open. And look, I know when the schedule came out, everyone circled this game as a home win for the Niners. But that was before all the injuries piled up, before the Falcons found their rhythm, and before we realized how big a problem the offensive line would be. This isn't a layup. Atlanta's improved across the board, and they've added serious talent on defense. Leonard Floyd, Jalen Walker, James Pierce. Those guys have brought real juice to their pass rush. They're getting sacks from every level of the defense now. Defensive ends, tackles, linebackers, even safeties are getting in on the action. That's a massive shift from last year when they were dead last in sacks and couldn't pressure anyone. The Niners, on the other hand, have to find some way to keep Jones upright and get the ball out quickly. If they can establish a rhythm early, maybe some short passes, screens, quick slants, they might be able to slow down that Atlanta pass rush and open things up later. But if they fall behind early and have to throw every down, it's going to be a nightmare. And by the way, there's some good news on the offensive side. George Kittle is expected to return this week. He's been designated to come off injured reserve, and he told reporters he plans to play Sunday night. That's huge. Even if he's not at 100%, just having him out there changes how defenses play you. He helps as both a blocker and a pass catcher, and his presence alone can take pressure off the offensive line. Now, he did reveal that he's been dealing with a fully torn hamstring, which sounds scary, but the fact that he's recovered this quickly shows how tough and disciplined he is. Kittle's leadership and energy will be crucial, especially with Warner and Bosa out. Still, the Niners need to be careful. You don't want to rush him back too soon either. Soft tissue injuries are tricky, and the last thing this team needs is to lose another star because of a setback. But if Kittle can play effectively, he could be the spark this offense needs to get back on track. Defensively, there have been some shakeups too. Robert Saleh confirmed that Malik Mustafa and Jer Brown will start at the safety spots this week. That's a big change, especially considering how inconsistent the secondary has been lately. Some rumors have floated around about possible trades involving Jason Pinnock, and honestly, it wouldn't surprise me. With younger, faster players emerging, it feels like the team might be looking to move on from some veterans and free up space. Overall, this game feels like a real turning point for the Niners. They're banged up, they're facing one of the most aggressive defenses in football, and they've got to prove they can win without some of their biggest names. The Falcons are coming in hot after a statement win on Monday night, and they're playing with confidence. For San Francisco, it's going to come down to execution. Can they protect the quarterback, limit turnovers, and stay disciplined on defense? One thing's for sure, this isn't going to be easy. Atlanta's physical, they're well coached, and they're hungry. The Niners have to match that intensity from the very first snap. If they can control the line of scrimmage and keep Jones upright, they've got a shot. But if that pocket collapses early and often, it could get ugly fast. Another big storyline heading into this matchup is the pass rush, or really, the lack of one. The 49ers have struggled to get after the quarterback since Nick Bosa went down, and that's created a ripple effect through the entire defense. Without consistent pressure up front, the secondary has been exposed far more often than we're used to seeing. Explosive plays have skyrocketed, and offenses are getting comfortable attacking deep and over the middle. You can tell the defense is missing that alpha presence who can collapse a pocket and set the tone on third down. Because of that, the front office is reportedly exploring trade options to add some juice to the defensive line. A lot of names have been floating around, from big-time stars like Trey Hendrickson to younger talents like Jermaine Johnson and Will McDonald from the Jets. Hendrickson would be the dream addition. He's relentless, high character, plays with incredible effort, and would fit the Niners' culture perfectly. The only problem is whether Cincinnati is even willing to move him. The Bengals still think they can compete if Joe Burrow gets healthy, and trading away their best pass rusher mid-season isn't exactly a move you make if you're chasing a playoff spot. Still, the logic is there. If Burrow's not back soon and they keep sliding, it makes sense to get value for Hendrickson before he hits free agency. If Hendrickson's off the table, that's where the younger options come into play. Someone like Jermaine Johnson or Will McDonald would make a ton of sense for San Francisco. They both played under Robert Saleh in New York, so they understand the system. They're versatile, and they're still on rookie deals. That's huge for a team already carrying some heavy contracts. Both guys have the athleticism to play outside, but can also move inside when the Niners go into those NASCAR packages on passing downs. You could imagine a future front that features Bosa, Arik Armstead, Javon Hargrave, and a young rusher like Johnson or McDonald. That kind of rotation could get the Niners back to being a nightmare for opposing quarterbacks. It's wild, though, how quickly the narrative around this defense has shifted. Early in the season, it felt like the 49ers had one of the most complete units in football. But injuries pile up, and suddenly the weaknesses stand out. The lack of depth up front has been exposed, and without that dominant front four dictating the game, even talented players on the back can start to look ordinary. The missed tackles have gone up, the coverage busts have increased, and the energy just isn't the same. You can feel that urgency creeping in now, that sense that if they don't make a move soon, this season could start slipping away. At the same time, the offense can't afford to keep putting the defense in bad positions. The turnovers, the stall drives, the red zone struggles, they've all contributed to extra pressure on the defensive side. The Niners rank near the bottom of the league in red zone efficiency, and that's just not acceptable for a team with this much talent. Getting George Kittle back should help with that. He's such a difference maker in tight spaces, not just because of his ability to win one-on-one matchups, but also because he demands so much attention from defenders. When he's on the field, it opens things up for everyone else. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, even the running backs in the flat. Still, all eyes are going to be on Jones this week. This is his chance to prove that he can manage the game efficiently, avoid turnovers, and keep the offense moving. He doesn't have to be spectacular, just steady. The Niners' formula has always been about efficiency and balance. Run the ball, stay ahead of the chains, and let the playmakers do the rest. But that only works if Jones gets the protection he needs. If Atlanta's pass rush starts teeing off, it could get ugly fast. What makes this matchup so fascinating is the contrast in styles. The Falcons are aggressive and unpredictable, both offensively and defensively. They'll blitz from everywhere, use motion constantly, and test your discipline. The Niners, meanwhile, are built on timing and rhythm. When they're in sync, they look unstoppable, quick passes, yards after catch, balanced play calling. But when that rhythm breaks down, it's like the whole operation falls apart. And with all the moving parts lately, injuries, lineup changes, adjustments, it's been hard to find that consistency. But before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to 49ers Zone and hit the like button on this video. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the San Francisco 49ers. And don't forget to share your thoughts on the news in the comments below. The San Francisco 49ers might be quietly reshaping their offensive line in a move that could send ripples across the NFL. Sources suggest that veteran guard Kevin Zeitler, known for his steady presence and exceptional run-blocking prowess, has reportedly agreed to join the 49ers, a development that insiders are calling a potential game-changer for a line that has struggled with consistency this season. While official announcements are typically reserved for press releases and formal statements, the buzz surrounding Zeitler's arrival has already ignited speculation among analysts and fans alike. Zeitler, a proven commodity with years of experience anchoring offensive fronts in Cleveland and Cincinnati, brings more than just reliability. He offers leadership in a locker room hungry for stability. Rumors indicate that his signing could immediately elevate the 49ers' offensive line, providing quarterback protection that has been, at times, a glaring weakness. Some insiders are already suggesting that this move could pave the way for a more dynamic rushing attack, as Zeitler's ability to open lanes has been lauded by coaches throughout his career. Of course, questions remain. How will Zeitler adapt to Kyle Shanahan's intricate blocking schemes? Will his presence alter the roles of existing starters, or could this spark a domino effect of lineup adjustments along the line? According to league whispers, Zeitler's integration is expected to be seamless, thanks to his football IQ and versatility, but only time will tell if the hype matches reality. The 49ers front office has been notably quiet, fueling speculation that they are waiting to unveil the move at just the right moment. Meanwhile, Fans on social media are already weighing in, debating whether this rumored acquisition could finally give San Francisco the edge it needs to dominate both the ground and passing game. If the whispers prove true, Kevin Zeitler's name might soon be synonymous with a 49ers offensive line that suddenly looks more formidable than anyone anticipated. For now, the NFL community watches closely, intrigued by a move that, if confirmed, might be one of the season's most understated yet impactful storylines. Zeitler to the 49ers. It's the kind of rumor that has fans and pundits alike leaning in, ears perked, waiting for the next play in a saga that could redefine San Francisco's offensive identity. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the San Francisco 49ers, make sure to subscribe to 49ers Zone and give this video a like. We always look forward to hearing your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.